All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Hey, welcome to the Sports Minute. My name is Brandon. I'm the new guy. I get to sit in the big seat. We got Ace and we got J-Mac tonight. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. I saw the NBA draft coverage. My Wolves did not do so hot, so we're not going to talk about that today, though. So why don't we get to that first sponsor for us? Peace.
All right. So our first sponsor tonight is actually being brought to you in part by Suzanne's Paparazzi Bling. Now, keep in mind, this is 24/7 shopping available. And how can you get this? Well, you get it at paparazziaccessories.com. And the code on that is actually 160920. And keep in mind, there's a phone number on there, so you can contact her anytime to go on there and order. You can call her and order. It's great stuff. We actually had a few people on our network that had already ordered some stuff, and they said it's absolutely great. It's great for gifts, and you get it quick and you get it in a hurry. It's great stuff.
Sounds good. Now, since I'm not going to be the viewer of the month anymore, how can people get a free shirt?
Well, let me tell you, Brandon.
All right, Jay.
How you can comment on the show. You like the show, you share the show, you do all that. That's how you get a free T-shirt. We're waiting for it to get pulled up here, and as soon as that happens, we'll show you the shirt that you can get for free. But comment. That's the biggest thing. You just be the guy that comments all the time. Be a Brandon Herrera, if you will. Comment, and we will get you out a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you guys don't want to comment, but you guys like this shirt, you can order the shirt. And how can they do that?
Well, guess what? If you don't want to comment, or if you're just worried, because some people don't want to go on there and comment because they're scared that maybe their comment won't make sense. But hey, that's okay. We don't judge. It's fine. But even if you're scared to comment, you can still get a shirt. And all you have to do is pay $25 plus shipping and handling. I mean, look at these shirts. These are magnificent shirts. These are something that you would want to be seen walking around town, and people might ask you, where did you get them? Guess what? You got them from the ASAP Sports Network because you want to represent us. And you know what? That's fantastic. Even Christmas is coming up. These are great gifts.
All right, thank you. And I kind of heard might be some Black Friday offered later, maybe. I don't know.
Stay tuned because
stay tuned. Gotta watch.
Stay tuned. We will make that announcement next week.
All right, there you go. You heard it. So first topic, the Masters. Dustin Johnson won, I think, by 5 strokes at a -20. So what do you guys think of that?
Well,
Ace, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so no, it's fine. Okay, so Dustin Johnson, yes, he shot a 20 under. He won by 5 strokes. The interesting thing about this is that was actually a Masters record. That shows you how good of rounds this guy shot. He really only had one bad, and it wasn't even really a bad round. It was more of a bad hole. That was it. But the way he was shooting all weekend, I'm like, there's no way anybody's going to catch him. The closest they came to him was when he came in within 3 strokes. That was it. That's it. He had a phenomenal weekend of golf. So J-Mac.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have went out there and shot any better myself. I thought, I maybe could have kept it around, like 21 or 22 over, which would have been like 40 strokes off the lead. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. And I agree with you, Will Polston. Dustin Johnson equals pure dominance.
Pure dominance, yes.
No doubt.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, because when you look at now the previous record, now keep in mind on this in the Masters that the previous record was actually 18, and that was by none other than Tiger Woods. Which, if you remember a few weeks ago, we actually talked about Tiger Woods, and we said, will Tiger Woods be ready for the Masters because he won it last year? But we could clearly see this weekend he was not ready. He was not the Tiger Woods that we saw.
No, exactly right. I think, honestly, I think that back is really bothering him, and I think he might just need to take some time off more. But also, along with that, I can't remember who did it, and I can't remember what hole, but they skipped it across the little pond there, and it circled around for a hole in one. I mean, if you guys saw the video, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was something
it was somebody's birthday too. The shooter, it was his birthday, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but it was a freaking amazing shot. I will tell you that. And so we've said how Dustin Johnson had won, but we could throw a few more names out there, big time names that people might want to know what they finished. So we talked about Tiger Woods. So does anybody really think they know what Tiger Woods finished? And I can give you a hint, and I'll tell you, he finished in the 30s.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. I know he had one hole where I think he shot a 10.
Yeah, he finished.
He shot a double bogey.
Yeah.
He finished 38th. Yeah. 38th. He shot a 1 under. He had a horrible round. I honestly thought that because of how well he did the Masters last year, I thought that he might actually play better this year, but like you said, it's probably his back. He's not the same Tiger Woods that he really has been.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he is either. And I grew up watching the guy, so he's actually one reason why I started playing golf. Not that I play good, and I actually picked him to win. But just like my NFL picks are going, can't bet on anybody I pick.
Right. So now it's funny though too, because Mess Around Dave actually. He did this pick'em thing, and he had to say who was going to have the worst round out of any golfer. He picked McIlroy. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. McIlroy didn't win, but he didn't have the first round because McIlroy actually tied for 5th.
Yeah. And it's the name slipped in my mind, but I remember I think it was ESPN was saying too that. One guy shot in the mid-60s all 4 rounds and still lost. So, I mean, just imagine how well Johnson had to do for that to happen.
Yeah. So, and you're thinking of I-M. That's how he spells his last name. I-M. Yeah. He had incredible rounds, but that shows you the dominance that Dustin Johnson has. And that was not something I was not expecting that. I'll tell you that. I was expecting a lot closer competition because when you're watching golf on TV and you're watching the Masters or you're watching it at Pebble Beach or something, everybody wants to see it go down to like the final stroke. Everybody wants to see that. Yeah, it's nice to see a guy go out there and dominate, but you also want to see a nice, clean, close, fun game. Those are great. I love it when it goes to the extra shots. Those are always fun.
Absolutely.
I think that's for all sports. So we want to sit down and watch a good game, event, whatever. So
now the last thing I'll touch really quick on this topic is my pick going into this, because he's actually my favorite golfer, is actually Justin Rose. I actually had him picked to win this. Oh, boy, that was rough. Yeah, that was rough. He shot a 5 under, but he finished 23rd, so that's why it was disappointing for me. But you know what? Golfers are entitled to have bad days, and he just happened to have a bad day, and it's fine. He's still one of the best golfers in the world. But what Dustin Johnson showed me is he's gonna be out there for a long time to come. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Any more from you, J Mac?
I mean, no, like nothing that you guys haven't said already. It definitely it's always, who my favorite commentator, though? This is something different. Who my favorite commentator for golf is? It's actually Scott Van Pelt, because he is one of those guys that just off the top of his head, he says stuff. So you're watching a golf tournament, and he'll sit there and be like, that shot was useful. Very, very useful. And you're like, yeah, I never heard anyone say that before.
No, Scott Van Pelt, former quarterback? Is that who I'm thinking of, or I'm thinking of Van Pelt?
You're thinking Alex Van Pelt.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Name just popped into my head there. All right,
No, you're good.
So moving on. I know you guys are big Packer fans, or at least Aces. So let's break down the top 5 Packer quarterbacks of all time. And I'll go with J-Mac. Let's start with you.
Okay. So let me say that we're going to have the same top 5. And Possibly, and I'm thinking on 2 and 1. But here's the thing: I'm going to tell you before we get to my list. It's like 1A and 1B for me. They're at the top. You can't, and I'll only explain the only difference when I get there. Number 5 for me is Lynn Dickey from the early '80s. Kind of brought him out of that '70s where they weren't playing very good, and he actually took them to the playoffs twice in his 6 years. He doesn't have great numbers, but he did resurrect them a little bit, and then they went back into a terrible time, where they had Randy Wright and all those other guys starting in the middle of the 80s, and, it was terrible. So the one bright spot there in the 80s. And then Don Majkowski. And I'll explain why I had the Magic Man in there. And it's because, again, he took over after all those guys. I mean, Anthony Delwig was the starter at one point, and Majkowski was right after him. And Majkowski at least gave us a chance to be competitive and bring us back. He was only the starter for 3 years, which was a short time, but he did bring us back to at least some kind of competitiveness. I really struggled with the top 3. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I really did, because you have 3 of the greatest in the history of the league. And that is something Green Bay is blessed with, honestly. So I put Starr at 3. He probably could be higher because he did take him to the championships, won the first 2 Super Bowls. But Bart Starr's at 3. Now we get to 2 and 1. Now, if we were going purely off talent and who had more talent and who was more, say, I won't say smart, because I think they're both smart guys. I'll say who played the game better and who is able to run an offense better and not turn the ball over. Rodgers blows Favre out of the water. I won't lie about that. But I think for me, Favre is a notch above Rodgers for one reason, and it's because Favre was, A, never supposed to be the talent that he was, and 2, he brought them out of the dip that they were going through there in the late 80s and early 90s, and he brought football back to Green Bay where everyone actually wanted to watch that team again, and he was like a little kid playing out there. And so I really can't pick between the 2 of them for number 1. But I guess if I had to give it to an edge, it would only be Favre because of what he did for the team. But from a pure talent standpoint or who holds onto the ball better, Rodgers is far and best. So I know that kind of sucks for a top list, but I that's all I got. Like, that's how I got it. So.
No. How about you, Ace?
You know what? I'm willing to go last. I want to hear Brandon's list first. I want to go last on this one.
All right, you want me to go? So, growing up a Viking fan, when I heard this topic come up, I tried to think of 5 quarterbacks not named Bart Starr. I didn't want to put Bart Starr in the top 5, just the fact because I never saw him play. But after looking at my research and stuff, how could you not put Bart Starr in there? So I will start with number 5 and Don Mikowski. I mean, the Magic Man. I mean, 22, 6, and 1. I think he's 4th or 5th all time on yards passed. And one thing I can remember about Don Mikowski is how much my uncle complained about him not being a decent quarterback. So number 4, I put Lynn Dickey, 43, 56, and 2. I think he's around the 4th passer yards. And then number 3, you got to put Bart Starr in there. I mean, I think the top 3 quarterbacks should go either way, but put Bart Starr in there. All those championships he won, the 2 Super Bowls. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, he was the face of the franchise, probably more than even Favre or Rodgers ever will be. And Jay, I'm with you. 1 and 2 flip flop either way. I could go either way, but I go Rodgers number 2, and I go Favre number 1, mostly because Favre, he was in there no matter what. 250 some straight games started, and just so you guys are happy, I do own a number 4. So, I mean, he's by far one of my favorite quarterbacks. So that's my top 5. How about you, Ace?
He's muted.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so let me tell you something, brothers. I know you're ready for my top 5 list, and oh man, it is a good one. And let me tell you what. You know why? Because I know where everybody was going to rank that bad man on their list. And I'll tell you what, because he is a bad man. But coming in at number 5 on my list, I completely agreed with all you guys on this. Number 5, Lynn Dickey. He has to be in your top 5 without question. And we've already covered why. However, my number 4, this might actually surprise you a little bit. And I'm actually surprised that you guys didn't put that in there. He wasn't really only classified as a quarterback. He was classified as a back, but he was a quarterback, a running back, all. Curly Lambeau. You really had to put him in the top 5 because of what he did for Green Bay. And I see you shaking your head, J-Mac. You tell me how you cannot have Curly Lambeau in the top 5.
We said quarterbacks. He wasn't a true quarterback.
He was in his era. In his era, he was.
That's fine. I mean, we can sit here and argue about it, but there's really no point. Like you're entitled to how you feel, and that's okay.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking him.
Yeah. So number 3 on my list. Obviously, we know our top 3 is coming between Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers. So number 3 on my list is, well, bam.
Wow.
Number 3 on my list is that bad man. And here's why he's not lower on my list. So here is my reason. The reason why I don't have Rodgers lower on my list right now is because still he is currently playing. Both Favre and Starr are both retired. So I have to put him at 3 because right now, yes, he only has 1 ring. He's still behind Favre in numbers. But however, he still has years to solidify it. So if he's able to win another ring or 2, yeah, then maybe I put him higher on the list. But because he's currently playing, I have to put him at number 3. That's the reason I have him there.
I can't even be mad at that. Like, I mean, like I was saying, that was my whole point between the top 3. It's like all of them did a different thing for the franchise. So I mean, you can't go wrong with any of those 3. You can't.
Nope.
Yeah, but and J-Mac, I told Brandon that you'd probably be surprised that I stuck that bad man at number 3 because you know how I feel about that bad man. He's been one of my favorites forever, but that's the reason I put him at number 3.
I mean, I do, but all your points make sense. So I can sit here and tell you that he should be higher than 3, but when you do that, when you give an explanation that makes sense and no one can argue with, how can I argue with you and tell you you're wrong? Because you're not. Everything you said makes sense.
And then number two is actually Brett Favre. I put Brett Favre at number 2. Yes, Brett Favre won a ring. He won multiple, or had multiple records for Green Bay, and even NFL records, multiple records. And he still owns that one record that probably is not going to be broken, and that's that Iron Man streak. I don't see anybody breaking that. I really don't. I really don't even think so. So did anybody see Will Polston's comment?
Yeah, I saw Will post that comment.
I did.
Yeah, question to ponder.
I'm in.
Be in the GOAT combo and not Brett Favre. Can't even say Rodgers is the best quarterback in the Packers franchise.
So, it's this. The thing to me is that this is the conversation that's going to be going on for a long time. And I think the reason is that people look at true talent. It's just like you were saying, J-Mac, Rodgers with true talent. Rodgers is probably one of the best throwers of the football I have ever seen in my life. The guy can pull off any throw out there. He can do it all. He's been able to do it his whole entire career. Favre was always that gunslinger, and I think the thing that puts him lower on that list than the GOAT is because he's thrown the most career interceptions ever. And so that's going to be a big knock on Brett Favre. But when you look at Rodgers, he's got the highest touchdown interception ratio of all time, the highest passer rating of all time, and yet he still has years to go. He has 2 MVP awards at this time. Brett Favre had 3. I completely get that. Favre has 1 ring. Rodgers has 1 too, but he's got more time to try and win another one. So that's just my take on why.
So do you think if Rodgers gets that second ring, he puts him at the top or at least behind Starr?
Close. It might even put him at the top.
Okay.
But J-Mac, you wanted to rebuttal.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did.
J-Mac. Sorry, bud.
No, it's all right. I'll tell you both this. I hate it when someone asks me who's the GOAT in a sport because it's an unanswerable. You can't answer that question. There is no way to answer that question in any sport on who's the best. Now, you want to do a top 5 list, a top 10 list, say arguably these guys are in the top 5 or the top 10, because what makes them the GOAT? Well, they all played in different eras. Yep. So you can't say, again, like we talked about the Iron Man streak with Favre, you literally would have had to saw his leg off and tape and handcuff him to the locker room to make him not play. Like it was, that's how it was. And now it's not even the fault of the players. It's more the team doctors. And we've come further with medicine that keeps them out of games for their own safety. And so it's really hard to sit here and say that, Montana was the best because of this, or Bradshaw was the best, but then Marino's not the best. But it's a really, really hard question. And that's a great point, Will Poston.
That is a great point, Will. I like that one.
Well, the one he even said about Rodgers not being the best, and you got to put Favre in the conversation. You can't pick a GOAT in any sport. It's just not possible. You can't do it. So,
okay. Yeah. So here's my thing on that too. And so everybody knows, obviously everybody knows who I put at number 1, which was Bart Starr. That to me, the greatest Packer quarterback of all time. He won the first 2 Super Bowls with Green Bay. When you're counting championships, he won 5 and 7 years. Not Super Bowls, but championships. And that's not something that we've seen pretty much ever. Now, going back to what you're saying about this GOAT conversation, I was talking to Brandon Herrera about this before we went live. My problem with the GOAT situation is simply this. It's pretty much different in any sport you possibly look at because of the simple fact that when people are looking at the NBA, they go, well, LeBron James is the GOAT. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And then you go, okay, how are you saying that they're the GOAT? Are you
you went on mute.
We lost him. That's okay. I know what he's saying, though. Like, I get it.
No, I do too.
We can just talk until he comes back. But
all right. So
there he is.
I'm back.
Back.
All right,
okay, he's back.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, now you look at the NBA and people say, LeBron's the GOAT or Michael's the GOAT. You go, okay, how? Is it off rings? Is it off talent? They go, okay, it's off talent. Okay, if you're going off talent, then it's really close between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. If you're going off rings and you want to go off that, Michael Jordan has more rings than LeBron, but Bill Russell has the most rings of all time with 11. So then how could you not put Bill Russell in that category? And then you jump to the NFL side of things and people go, okay, Brady's the GOAT. And you go, okay, why is Brady the GOAT? And they go, well, Brady's the GOAT because of rings. Really? Okay, so now one sport, you're basing it off of the person's the GOAT because of rings. And then you look at the NBA side and people are saying, well, he's the GOAT because of skill. So that to me does not make it, because to me that's hypocritical. How can you say one sport is off talent, but one sport is off rings? That does not make any sense to me. People need to narrow it down. Is it off of talent? Is it off of rings? That's what we need to look at.
Yeah, you're never gonna get a right answer or wrong answer.
There isn't a right or wrong answer.
It's
I'm glad
like,
you said
how
that.
many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? You're never gonna know that answer either. So,
Right.
all right.
Well, here's one real quick, Brandon. I'm sorry.
No problem.
But I want to kind of hit off of what Ace said. You're talking about rings. You look at any sport. So you're telling me that just because they don't have a Super Bowl ring, that Dan Marino and Jim Kelly are not all-time great quarterbacks because they don't have rings? Like that's blasphemous to say. And then you could switch to the NBA side. You're talking about LeBron. Well, a guy named Tim Duncan has 5 rings,
Yep.
and a guy named Kobe Bryant has 5 rings,
Yep.
and Shaq has 3. And then so that's
Now,
Will Polston, you were absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct.
I'm telling you, with Gretzky, there's no question. Gretzky is the GOAT in hockey, and it's not even. You can't even debate that. That's not even close.
I mean, I love Gretzky. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Lemieux was hot, and so was the other guy. Slipped my name.
I'm not saying that they're not good hockey players, but how can you put them in the conversation with Gretzky? That is, you can't do that.
You're right. I'm not a big hockey guy. I mean, so
I guess we're saving that one for another night. But
yeah. Exactly. We're gonna have to. So before we move on to our next topic, how about we hit up another one of our sponsors?
Sure.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be Misty Meadows. We're going to talk about that one next. Misty Meadows is they do everything is Oregon made. So they're an Oregon made store. They do everything in-house. They got jams, they got hot sauce, they got anything you want is in there. I wish I had some better pictures of the inside, but they are located at 48053 Highway 101 South in Bandon, Oregon. And their phone number is 541-347-2575. And go check them out. They have pictures online. They have a Facebook page, Misty Meadows on Facebook. Look them up. Order some stuff. I believe they have a way to order online there through the Facebook page. Some great stuff coming out of them, coming out of Bandon, Oregon there.
So somebody from Minnesota could order and get it delivered to me, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
All right. So our next topic, I believe, top 5 MLB free agents. Woo! All time. Hey, why don't you start?
All right. So I'll tell you what, with this, there's so many different directions you could go on top 5 MLB free agents of all time. So I'm reading this quick. Gretzky could never score a goal and would still have the most points, goals, and assists in hockey history. That, my friend, is GOAT status. Absolutely. But we're going to save that for another night. Yeah, we're going to save that for another night because we have a lot, because we have some good topics here that we're going to cover. So with my number 5 here, I actually said that my 5th free agent signing of all time was actually Reggie Jackson when Reggie Jackson signed with the New York Yankees. Because it's funny though too, because a lot of people can say he's that straw that kept everything going, that stirred everything. When you look at Reggie Jackson, he was kind of getting up there a little bit, and people wondered, if he still had it. But then he showed why he was Mr. October. Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. He's the guy that in a World Series was able to hit 3 home runs on 3 consecutive pitches. Now, the crazy thing about that is when you look at his contract, it's nowhere even near what you would see now. The dude signed the contract. He signed 5 years for $2.96 million. So now, then that was a lot of money then. Now that's not even close to what people get now. But back then,
get paid now.
What?
I thought that's probably what minor leaguers are getting paid now.
Right? Yeah, right.
All right.
So then my number 4 was Terry Pendleton. So when Atlanta signed Terry Pendleton, keep in mind he was 30 years old. He came off of a bad season. There was nobody that really wanted to take a chance on Pendleton because of his age. But Atlanta was like, you know what? We'll take a chance on this guy. Not only did he make an impact with Atlanta, but he actually was he was in that core group that took Atlanta back to the World Series. And now keep in mind, in 1981, he also won MVP with Atlanta too. Now they did lose in the World Series to the Minnesota Twins, but yeah, I know you're super excited about that one. But still, Terry Pendleton has to be on this list. All right, my number three of all time, Randy Johnson, when he signed a contract with the Arizona Diamondbacks, because he was in his 30s, and people were looking at Randy Johnson like, you know what, he's getting up there in age, he's losing velocity, he's losing his gas. Well, I'll tell you what, that didn't matter. What did he do when he signed with the Diamondbacks? All he did for the Diamondbacks was win 4 consecutive Cy Young Awards. So it was like, how can you? And keep in mind, he also pitched a perfect game. And I hate to say it, that perfect game was against my Atlanta Braves. But you know what? He pitched a perfect game. But so that was also one of the best free agent signings of all time. Now my number 2, Edwin Encarnacion. When he signed, you're looking at whew. But yeah, because when he signed with the Blue Jays, he signed a 2-year, $5.5 million deal. All he did in those 2 years was average over 30 home runs and 96 ribbies every year and batted almost a 300 and helped the Blue Jays get back to the playoffs. Did they win anything? No, but he helped them get back there. So that to me, and just by the amount of money they got him for, $5.5 million in this day and age when you're a hitter like that, that's a steal. Like the Blue Jays got a steal with that one. Now, my number 1 of all time, don't call me a homer on this. You might. But the number 1 free agent signing of all time was Greg Maddox when he signed with the Atlanta Braves. Now, with this, Greg Maddox, yes, he just came off of a Cy Young year from the Cubs. When he signed with the Braves, he just won a Cy Young with the Cubs. Now, in his 4 years after that, he had an ERA of 2.336, had 20 wins. Then his ERA was a 1.56 and had 16 wins. Then he had 1.63 and had 19 wins. Then 2.72 and had 15 wins, and then a 2.20 and had 19 wins. So, over his course of his career with Atlanta, he averaged 18 wins and 7 losses with a 2.13 ERA and 177 strikeouts a season. That was an absolute steal when they got him. And he won 3 Cy Youngs. Steal.
Now,
Best
Maddox, like the best fielding pitcher too. Didn't he win multi-gold gloves?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because once we got Maddox, then we got Smoltz and Glavine and everything just started coming together. That
for 91.
That Maddox deal was amazing.
Yeah. All right, J-Mac, how about you, bud?
Well, mine is really pitcher heavy, I'll tell you that. And so, yeah, they do make a difference. And I think that they actually, the ones I'm going to bring up, made the most difference. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find I must not have saved it anyway. I was going to try to find a picture that I had, speaking of Greg Maddox, because he's number 5 on my list, by the way. And you're saying number 5, that's crazy. But when I get to the other 4, you'll figure out why he's number 5. But he's number 5, and it's for every reason Ace said. Every reason Ace said. He was the anchor of the top rotation of all time. I'm sorry, but you had Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz, and then you even throw in a Steve Avery and a Denny Nagel in 1997. That may be the greatest rotation ever. That arguably, of course, but and that's being a homer, but that was great. It was a stat, something like he faced 20,000 something batters in his career, and 133 of them saw a 3-0 count.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that number. That's insane. And he said he pitched 177 games in which he didn't walk a batter.
Yeah.
Like that. Those numbers are just insane. That's an insane number. There was no one in baseball that would do that today. Nobody can compare to that. Number 4, Curt Schilling to the D-backs, and that might surprise some people that he's on my list. But Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson were both there, and they are the reason why the Diamondbacks won that World Series. They are the reason, because it was either one of them that won every game for them in that World Series. So that was a big signing for them. Number 3, another surprise for a lot of people, but Roy Halladay when he went to the Phillies. Because the Phillies don't have a World Series title if Roy Halladay doesn't go to Philadelphia, who also pitched a no-hitter. I think he had 2 of them, actually. And he was a great talent. A lot of people forget about him. But Roy Halladay was a huge signing for the Phillies when they got him out of Toronto. Number 2 for me is Randy Johnson when he went to the D-backs. Again, for every reason Ace said, 4 consecutive Cy Youngs. He won him a World Series. The guy's got 4,000 something strikeouts. It's insane. He was the big unit. I mean, that he lived up to every word of that name. And thank God he got out of Seattle and didn't lose his career in Seattle, because Seattle's just awful and have been for years. And he was part of the team that won 116 games in 1998 for the Seattle Mariners. They were 116-46, and they lost in the playoffs. That was crazy. Number 1 for me is Nolan Ryan, because Nolan Ryan is the greatest pitcher of all time. And again, it's one of those things that really isn't close. The guy had 7 no-hitters. 7. A lot of guys can't even say they've had 1, and the guys that say they have 1 are great. The guys that had 2 are Hall of Famers, and Nolan Ryan had 7. So that's just crazy. So anywhere he went, he made an impact, that's for sure. Yeah, so that's my top 5.
All right. No, great top 5. So my top 5 kind of battled in my mind on where I wanted to go. Number 5, I gave it to 2 players for the same team, 91, Jack Morris and Chili Davis. I mean, without either one of those, Twins do not make the World Series in my eyes. Number 4, kind of battled back and forth. I first had Barry Bonds on there. Then I had Randy Johnson, back and forth. But I think I'm going to go with Randy Johnson. I mean, the big unit. What can you say? I mean, a left-hander's, what was he, like 6'10"? I mean, the guy, you throw the ball, you had less than a millisecond to think what you're going to do with it. Number 3, I'm going to go with Ichiro. I mean, when he went to the Mariners, I mean, the guy was amazing. I mean, I think he holds still 4 records for the Mariners right now. Number 2, I think might shock you guys. I'm going to go with Pete Rose signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. He went there. They won a ring. All-time hits leader. There ain't much you can say about Pete Rose that hasn't been said throughout conversations about baseball. Number 1, I'm going to agree with Ace on this one. Greg Maddux. I mean, the multi-gold gloves. I mean, the start of the 7 division titles the Braves won, the 1 World Series, 5 or 3 pennants. I mean, the guy was amazing. And J-Mac, he brought up great stats too about him. I mean, what can you not say about Greg Maddux? That's my top 5. So, any other comments to close that out, or we're gonna move on, guys?
Well, just if you go on the baseball segment, I mean, there's so many guys that have meant a lot for their team. But yeah. Ichiro, speaking of Ichiro, I believe you had his numbers together from Japan and Major League Baseball, and he blows away Pete Rose as far as hits. I think he's got almost 5,000 when it comes to both leagues. It's unreal.
Yeah, it might actually be close to 7, I believe. But
yeah, it's close. I mean,
I know a lot of people are actually trying to debate that if they should count those in the major league stats or not.
And then the second thing I'll say real quick is it's time to free Pete Rose. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, that's another topic we can pick up on another show.
So the one thing I was going to touch on, because you mentioned about Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson with the Diamondbacks. Now, keep in mind when Randy Johnson signed with the Diamondbacks, I kind of gave him credit because he signed with an expansion team. So that's what actually surprised me the most, because I'm thinking, okay, Randy Johnson in his later years, he's going to want to go with a true contender, yet he chose to sign with an expansion team. And that's what surprised me. And then they go out and get Kurt Schilling, and you're like, oh man, this team's going to be for real. Like this isn't going to be a joke team.
Isn't Johnson from Arizona?
Johnson,
that why he signed there?
Yeah, but I was still shocked though, because
I was too.
You would think you would want to go to you think that you would want to go to a contender.
Yeah, no, I think he wanted to play at home. So, all right, next topic, J-Mac. Let's hear your spotlight player for this week.
Well, this is a new segment to the show. We'll get something put in here as far as J-Mac's spotlight player. I'm going to go through every week and pick a player that maybe isn't hailed, as like a superstar, but has still had good numbers in their particular sport, have been instrumental in their team's success. And the guy that I've chosen for this week, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, well, he was a big name. He really wasn't. I mean, he really wasn't overhailed in his career, but the guy was just unreal. And the guy for this week is Wes Welker, and it's Wesley Carter Welker is his given name. And this is a guy who started his career. He played for the Texas Tech Red Raiders in college. He actually started with the San Diego Chargers, and he came in as an undrafted free agent. Think of that. Wes Welker wasn't even selected in the draft. And that should tell you something for the career that he had. And, of course, we know he went on to the Dolphins, and then the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Rams are the teams that he ended with. But despite he was undrafted only one player had more all-purpose yards in their first 3 seasons than Wes Welker did with the Dolphins. Does anyone know who that is, by the way?
Well, what's that?
Only one player in NFL history had all-purpose yards in their first 3 seasons in the NFL.
Nah, a couple names are out there, but I don't think they're going to be right.
Gale Sears.
Okay.
Gale Sears was the only other player that had more all-purpose yards in their first 3 years than Wes Welker. So think about that as an undrafted player.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. He holds the Dolphins' all-time records for total kickoff returns, kickoff return yardage, and total punt returns. And he holds the record. This is again a guy who was not seen upon as a superstar, but he has the NFL record actually for the most receptions by any undrafted player in NFL history, when he passed Rod Smith in 2014. And he ranks in the top 10 all-time in all-purpose yards with 16,797 all-purpose yards in his career. He was the first wide receiver in NFL history to have 3 consecutive 110 reception seasons, and he has 5 total in his career. So just can you believe those numbers for a guy who was not drafted into the NFL? And a lot of you are going to say it was a system, and I understand some of that, but tell me that he wasn't instrumental in some success for some teams for sure. The slot receiver across the middle had sure hands. And think about that. Undrafted, an undrafted guy and everything he did in the NFL. And so for all of those guys that didn't get drafted, didn't get the chance to get drafted in the NFL, like there's a shot for you. And you just got to work hard. And that's something Wes Welker did. And he's an even bigger guy off the field. Like he never had a scandal, he was never in trouble with the law. He retired and they asked him about coaching. And he said he would rather focus his time on helping the less fortunate. And so he's actually spent his time. He goes around to any time that there's a natural disaster. He's the first one there leading a team to help those people out. He is I had to look this up. This part I didn't know, but he's been instrumental in the coronavirus in America. He's actually one of the guys on the East Coast that has set up helped get testing sites, rapid testing sites set up. He's donated money to this and his time. And so that's my player spotlight this week. Wes Welker, a great player, undrafted, and an even better man off the field.
Yeah. And now think about this, right? So you start your career off with the Miami Dolphins. And then after going from the Miami Dolphins, you get a chance to play with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You get a chance to play with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. I mean, think about that. That's really a way to get your career on the right path. That was amazing.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So stick around next week. I'll bring you another underrated player. We'll talk about, and I'll have that for you next week on Wednesday.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it.
So,
all right. So moving on to our next topic, the big fight coming up. I think the 28th of this month. We got Mike Tyson versus Ray Jones Jr. Ace, what's your thoughts on that?
This is crazy. Have you guys seen the pictures as of late of Mike Tyson? The dude is jacked. He is ripped, man. I mean, now this is crazy because keep in mind the dude's 53 years old. 53. And in his career, he's got a 50-6 record. Now, of his 50 wins, 44 of them are knockouts. But now keep in mind the last time he actually boxed in a match was 2005. Now, Roy Jones Jr. in his career, he's 66-9, and 47 of them are by knockouts. The last time he boxed was 2018. So, but people are really, really wanting to see this fight because this is going to be an incredible fight. One thing that Mike Tyson was known for was his knockout punch. Well, Roy Jones Jr. has that same exact thing. So this is going to be crazy because think about this. In Mike Tyson's career, 55% of his power punches actually landed. And that's actually an astonishing number. Like that is most all time, and it's not even close.
Oh yeah, I mean Mike Tyson I still remember from the movie The Hangover, and he was nowhere near the shape that he's in now. I mean, this guy's unreal. 53. Like I saw him at 53, and I'm like, man, I want to look half that good when I'm that age.
Oh, no kidding.
Just saying. Like the guy
years away, and I ain't looking that good. So
no, he's jacked.
But actually, he was on AEW a month or so ago, and yeah, he was ripped then too. And I was just like, wow. So,
yeah, the dude.
But, I think Ace covered it all. I mean, who you guys got in the fight?
Oh man, the only reason I would have to go with Roy Jones Jr. is because he's actually boxed, in the last couple of years. Mike Tyson hasn't boxed since 2005. Now Mike Tyson's in great shape. We can clearly see that. But the one thing I want to know is his power punch still the same as it was?
Yeah.
That's my thing, because at 53 you would think he would kind of lose some of that power. You would think. But I don't know, for as jacked as he is, he may not have. But
Jones
my
Jr.
heart,
is 54, 51. So I mean, they're not so far that apart in age.
But my heart wants to say I want to go with Tyson. I would like to see Tyson win this, but my gut is telling me it's Roy Jones.
I guess this is what I'll say. Now I'm with you on wanting to say with my heart that Tyson's going to win. I see the fight as this way, being unbiased, given analysis. If the fight goes 3 rounds or less, that advantage is to Tyson, because if he can knock Roy Jones out in the first couple of rounds to 3 rounds, Tyson's got this fight. But then you get into the endurance part where you get into the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. Tyson's not going to be able to keep up just because he hasn't been in the ring and he hasn't had to have that endurance. So it's tough. I'll go with Tyson just for the sake of not going for the same one, but I'll say that I know he won't win if we get into the 4th and 5th round of the match.
Yeah, J-Mac, I agree with that. I've been a big Tyson fan, boxing wise. Ray Jones, I mean, like you said, they both have powerful punches, so I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with Tyson.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I really, really want to, because my heart is saying Tyson, but my gut is telling me Roy Jones. And it's just like J-Mac's saying too. We don't know. We can see the physical shape that Tyson it is, but we don't know the mental state, or we don't even know the endurance state. We don't know any of that. So if it goes into later rounds, like J-Mac was saying, we don't even know if Tyson will be able to stand up in the later rounds, because it's going to be interesting to see, especially on the endurance side.
Yeah. By the way, the last time Tyson fought in a match, I was not old enough to drink.
Yeah, that is something. So
I believe, Ace, you were 15 years old the last time Tyson.
I was 15 years old.
So anyway, moving on to our last topic of the night. Got any final thoughts? Ace, I'll start with you. Give you about a minute or so.
So here's kind of an interesting story. I don't know if you guys happen to see this or not, but did you guys happen to watch Come On Man the other day before the Monday night game started?
I tried to, but I didn't catch it. No.
So it was kind of funny, because on one of the Come On Mans, they had Western versus Central in a high school game. And Western was up by 2, and it was a 4th and 13, and they had the ball at their own 12, and there was 7 seconds left. And I think the quarterback forgot that it was 4th down, and he takes a snap, and then he took a knee.
Oh no!
and then Central gets the ball back at the 12. And then guess what? And then after that, Central gets the ball back and kicks a field goal, and they win it, and they move on. They advance in the playoffs. And Western lost. I was like, oh my gosh. So what the coach was saying on the sideline there, being like, what are you doing? It's 4th and 13. You can't take a knee right there.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. How about you, J-Mac?
Well, just to hit on that for a second, yeah. So I believe that kid no longer has a scholarship. I don't even think he took the ride home with the team. That's rough, man. That's rough. You got to know what's going on.
Yeah, imagine having to go in the locker room, like your teammates are like waiting in the locker room.
Nah, I think I'd have just been like, I'm gonna walk. Yep. I'm just gonna walk home. Yeah, that would have been crazy. No, all I gotta really say is, we appreciate everyone that watches the network, and we could not do this without you. We couldn't. And you guys are the reason we do this. So please, comment, post, share. Please share our stuff. Get our name out there. We're moving right along. We thank Brandon for coming on the network. He's been a great addition to the team. And we're growing this thing. I'll also say, when it comes to sports, sports is such a relief for everything that's going on in the world. You hear about it once in a while. You hear about the politics or the COVID, which just sucks for everybody, I know. But just enjoy the sports. Take the politics out of it. Just watch your team, enjoy your team, have an opinion. Sports have been around and they entertain us. And it's a really good thing. definitely to have sports back and going to that. College sports will be coming around soon. College football's up now, but you get into basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, all of it. You get into all of it, and it's great to watch. It's great to watch those kids go out and compete. You know my favorite 2 times of the year, though, Brandon? Do you know what those are?
What's that?
March Madness for basketball, the greatest tournament in all of college sports.
Oh, yeah.
And the second one, I think Ace knows the second one. But the second one is the Little League World Series, because I love watching those kids out there. They are playing just to play, like they're out there just playing for the game and the heart that they're putting into this. And they're not playing thinking I'm going to be a big leaguer someday. They're just out there playing baseball, and it's so fun to watch.
Hey, we gotta get Will's last comment up there. J-Mac, this was just to you. Will said you're going to make him cry.
Come on.
So Brandon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind, before you wrap up the show and do your last little thing, you mind if I ask one quick question?
Go ahead.
All right. So my question for you guys, and Brandon, I'll start with you on this. As you saw that last week, you saw that Drew Brees was hurt. Do you think that he has played his last game, or do you think he comes back?
Oh, I think he's going to try to come back, but I think his family's going to weigh into that decision a lot. And I kind of believe we've seen his last game. I think he's going to try to make a comeback, but I think we've seen his last game. J-Mac,
what do you think on that one?
Oh man, it's so hard. I think it's all going to depend on how the season goes. If they make a run in the playoffs, I could see him coming back. They make it to the Super Bowl, he'll definitely be back. He'll play in the Super Bowl, and then he'll ride off into the sunset. But if they don't go anywhere, then we've seen him play his last game, and it's really unfortunate because Drew Brees is a generational talent.
Hey, before I do my final thought here, can we get that comment from Tim Hendricks up there? This guy is a buddy of mine. We met in Michigan. Kind of look like brothers. Matter of fact, a lot of people thought we were brothers. This guy is over in Italy, if I remember. He moved out there, so he's over there. So, hey, bud, what's up? Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Tim. You got yourself into the running for the viewer of the month for the shirt. Thanks for that.
I guarantee he's probably the viewer with the most miles in between. But my last thought, I kind of like to go like a history kind of thing. I was looking at what kind of happened in the history this day, whatever year. I'm going to go back to 2000, the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn. 2 powerhouses. The score was 9-0 back in that game. So, just kind of think, powerhouses. I even looked at the roster, couldn't name a guy on the team. So, but I did see that the weather was like 39 degrees. So that kind of played a factor. But when you hear Alabama and Auburn, you think powerhouse, you think high scoring game. 9-0. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did you like that game better, or did you like the game better when Auburn was able to block the kick and he returned the missed kick for a touchdown? When the kick was short and returned it.
Oh, I think those are always fun to watch. Those kicks and somebody runs it back. Devin Hester was great at that.
Yeah.
So, do we got any final thoughts before we wrap it up tonight, guys?
We do have a question. So, Andrew Greenard says, should the Saints pick up a free agent quarterback or put trust in Winston? Obviously, you're this late in the season, so you have to run with Winston. You really don't want to go out and pick up
magic.
Huh?
Fitzmagic.
Well, they got Dilbo too.
He's still on the Dolphins though too, so you can't.
No, I know.
You would have to
they're going to run with Winston. I'm sure that's what they're going to do.
I'll say this right now. Might be a hot take, and I think if Winston could get them into the playoffs, he probably just got himself another contract with the Saints.
I think so.
Yeah, this to me is his audition right here.
Yes.
Sean Payton wants to see what he has in Winston. If Winston comes out and performs good, you will see him back in New Orleans again next year.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that one again, Tim Hendricks. Anytime Alabama goes down, it's a great
Thanks,
game.
bud.
Thanks for that. So one last thing we're going to do here before we wrap the show up, we want to let you know that we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, and we are soon going to be on Twitch. But there is one other platform that we're on, and we need to talk about them and give them some love before the end of the night. So, Nate, if you wouldn't mind throwing our other sponsor up there, and we can talk about where that's all right. We can. So Anchor. Now, Anchor is a place where we download all the shows. So tonight's show will be downloaded there tomorrow. You didn't have time to watch the whole show tonight. That's cool. You can catch it while you're in your car. You can listen to it. And Anchor is a place where if you want to start your own podcast to kind of do what we're doing, they give you all the tools there. There is nothing else needed but a email address, sign in there, and get yourself started on a podcast. So we thank Anchor as our sponsor for tonight as well.
Yes, thank you. And Ace or J-Mac, when you guys want to fill me in, what do we got going on tomorrow? Do we know what show lineup for tomorrow is?
Tomorrow is Real Talk. So it's Real Talk, and then we have the Thursday night post-game show.
Gotcha. So tune into that, guys. You know, you like what you see, please share it. So
please share it.
Yeah. So I think that's it for me, Ace, J-Mac. I think we'll see you guys all next week.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
And we always give a shout out to Nate. We couldn't do it without you, buddy.
Nate's great. Sorry, bud.
Nate's our producer behind the scenes, makes things happen. Thank you, Nate.
Yes, thank you, Nate.
There he is.
All right. No problem.
Thanks, buddy. All right, take us on out of here, Nate. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.